No, there's bills for that.
Well, we're gonna move and kind of move as expeditiously as we can through some of this stuff. I will, before we start, well, let's call orders.
All right.
Go ahead, Rachel.
Richard Swarthout.
Here.
Dan Mulder. Here. Jay Roser.
Yep.
Sarah McLean. Here. Jamie Melky. Yeah. Scott Reed.
Here.
Kaylin's here and Maggie is ill. So she will not be joining us.
So before we approve today's agenda, I did want to move, Mark, your thing up before new business, so that way you can get done and out of here. So without objection, we can do that. Okay, let's do that. And then we had two sets of minutes that we need to approve because we kind of screwed up on the last one when we approved the October 14th one. Okay, so got the wrong copy, so we're good.
Okay.
So we're gonna approve the November 11th and October 14th minutes. So if any additions or corrections to the October 14th. Okay, seeing none, any on the November 11th? Seeing none again. All in favor of approving both November 11th and October 14th meeting minutes, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nope. All right, meeting minutes are approved. Any board communications? Great.
Nope.
Excellent. Any public comments? People here from the public?
Hi, my name is Kristen Baylog. I'm the Executive Director of the Harbor Springs Area Historical Society. And I'm here joined by May. I'll let her introduce herself in a moment. But I just wanted to let you know that we are aware that you're working on some historic signage and plaques specific to Indiantown and the location of such with Eric. And we're just here to show that we support the project in any way we can. We'd be happy to help with that moving forward.
Wonderful.
Ani, wag na kasi madawag na ikaw. Skinky way na nag-oonja pa. Ako ang Nisha way na siya kas. I'm a woman from the Village Traverse Bay and then Sabotawang Indians, and I serve my tribal nation as our historic preservation officer and our NAGPRA representative. Eric is an esteemed colleague of mine, and so I'm just here to show my support for that project and support in any way that I can. And to also show our connection to Little Traverse with our connection down to the Historical Society to make that much stronger. I'll be joining.
Congratulations. If you know them, oh, right, I forget, sorry. Yes. NAGPRA, that means I represent Little Traverse in cases that involve the Native American rights protection in each region. So being able to work with museum institutions and really with collections of all sorts, being able to work with the peoples who gather those items and those ancestors and be able to bring them home to places where
Thank you for coming.
Thank you both for being here. That's so nice. We are going to work on that project, and we sort of started down that path, but happy to send and learn from you as well as to working through the process with the state. We're looking for at least one of the markers to be an official state historic marker. So really excited to be able to work with you and to meet you both. Thank you.
we'll keep our eye on when that becomes an agenda item.
Sure.
And obviously, we're both woven in with Eric. We're not overstepping. We'll be all working together.
That sounds great. And we'll make sure to reach out
I wanted
directly
you to know that we're watching, keeping an eye out.
Great. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Rachel, I've got something.
Yeah, go ahead.
This is the last meeting for Scott and I, probably, so. Got my eye on Audrey to get her application in, and hopefully she really likes the meeting tonight. Maggie has reapplied, I believe, right? And then Natalie Stackhouse, she used to work at the pier. So those are our 3 empty seats. Scott, thank you so much for 4 year, no.
5 years.
5 years. Yeah, 5 years, yeah.
I still want to volunteer to lead
Yeah.
the walking club.
Oh, good.
A lot of fun.
We had that on our list to ask Scott. So.
Like, this is how you're leaving, but like, is the walking club still happening?
I still love to lead the walking club, but it'll be fine.
And I would like to volunteer as well, and continue on with like some of the things that we started, like the brochure for fundraising, for example. And then I know until we get another parks director, Kyle spread a little thin, so we had also talked about starting the application process for the markers, historical markers, so I'd be more than happy to help with that kind of stuff.
Happy to have you around, and thank you both. Thanks, Scott.
Thank
and
you.
Thanks, Dana, for all of your work.
You bet.
All right, any other public comments?
Real quick, sorry,
It's all
I'll
right.
make it quick. So you were probably in Dr. Osborne, like I was when Rachel said that she was gonna leave and Victor was gonna leave, and it's like, okay, I'm now in charge for a little bit, and we're sort of strapped then. Rachel was kind enough, we talked last Friday, that she was kind enough to stay here for another 5 years, no, just teasing. No, she was kind enough to volunteer to work part-time. And I spoke with most of the council members about this today and last night. And so what my plan as the interim city manager is, Rachel's volunteered, is we will keep her on part-time fair. She's gonna be basically not a contract employee, but an hourly employee, will be part-time with no benefits. I'll draw up a letter of understanding for our agreement. That way she can still monitor the emails, take care of some of the events. I'll be leaning on you a lot over the next 3 to 4 months just to help me out. But I thank God that Rachel's staying on board so that at least we sat down, I think it was last Thursday, and she's telling me everything that she's got going between the beach house and Kiwanis. And I don't want all those, we got so many coals of fire just to sit there and disintegrate. And I think with her part-time willingness will really help until we get another city manager, or excuse me, another Parks and Recs director, or council figures out what direction we're gonna go with that. So thank you for, and we'll get that done over the next couple of weeks, but at least the emails will be answered. She can fill me in. And the other thing is that when we do get another Parks and Recs director, I don't have the ability to train that person on a job I never did. So at least hopefully Rachel will be around to help train that person to move forward. So that's a good announcement. So.
Great.
Have you heard from Emmett County or they?
Yeah, so Emmett County approved it, they're okay with it as long as it doesn't interfere with anything, obviously with their programming and their day-to-day. So majority of it will be emails. I don't plan on working anywhere over 10 hours a week. It should be pretty standard. But it'll be mostly like Kyle said, keeping the sledding events going, making sure the quotes continue coming in for the beach restrooms, taking that to council, getting things to the planning commission, just kind of keeping the heart beating. That way, when someone comes in, it's not, nothing's been looked at for a few months. So that's a lot for Kyle to take on.
It's kind of a grim analogy, isn't it? Keep the
I
heart
know,
beating.
well, I know.
Well, we really couldn't ask for out of a difficult situation. This is a great way for the Parks Board and Parks in general to continue. So
Well, it's
Thank
kind
you.
of to be okay with it. It was kind of council to approve it, so it kind of worked out for everybody.
and for Emmett County for letting.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So
It'll work out well, and I appreciate Council Jimmy and the crew. I talked to everyone, and everybody's on board, so it should be a benefit to everybody. Please keep that train rolling.
great. Any other public comments? All right, we'll close that portion and move on to our discussion items and moving up Kiwanis as we agreed. So Mark, you're up.
Okay, well, what you have in front of you, it's sort of like a trial balloon, some concept elevations. And
Same floor plan as we last.
yeah, well, I changed the floor plan a little bit, we popped the floor plan, I'll start with that. Essentially, it's the same, I did change the bathrooms, I meant women's, I thought the doors would be more private if we moved them to the other end. So that just sort of made sense, I missed that the first time around. And everything else is the same. I adjusted windows a little bit, moved them around where they belong, with what I learned from doing the elevations. So to go to elevations, please. So I had a pointer, but the battery's dead, so I gotta do the old fashioned way. So what you're seeing is that the still got focus. That's better there. But what you're seeing is this is a low slope roof that will be membrane, and what I wanted to do was keep the rhythm of the existing structure that's already there, and just pick up some of those detailing, some of the detail that's going on with that, But the way I see this, and it's sort of hard to tell with this right now, is that there's a, I want those to be exposed beams that come out all the way around with a nice overhang to add some nice texture to the building. And I tried to blend it in. I played around with having the addition look like completely different, like contrast the old with new and all that. And that just wasn't working real well for me. So I'm trying to do is blend it in. So we're using some of the existing information on the new portion. So it looks like, yes, this is a fresher piece, because it's nice to see a building grow over time. You can still see like where the original building was, and over time, this other piece grew, and maybe something else would grow some other day or something like that. So I like to see time progress in buildings. And as you go around the building, this is the front entry, where this is the door in, these are the existing windows, and these are the verticals that are there. And then with this porch that comes out here, I think that should be a different material. Right now, I'm just showing some shingles. Once I get done explaining this, I'm going to ask for some feedback on certain things. But this door would have glass, and then this door and the door that comes out of the back, and where's the egress door, those would be, I would have to be panel doors. They'll pick up the same rhythm and materiality of the old one, just so they're just not just a metal door or something like that. And then, the windows going, to the bathroom, these are the windows up there that go into the two gender bathrooms. And I, again, wanted to pick up the same type of thing, where I bring in this other element, which would be, the D-log, or another material, we decided to use that. Tie it all together with a trim, there's a good base trim that runs around underneath the roof and ties that old part into the new part. And just try to get a sense for what's going to happen with it. And as far as the materials right now, any question, just basic layout. It's pretty simple. But the questions I have, and again, this is just a trial balloon. I want you all to take a look at this, give me some feedback. But some of the things I'm looking at now that I'm thinking about the materials is, do we want to use the same, like the D-log? Do we actually want to use that? You notice on this elevation, the one towards the parking lot, I got some nice windows across up there into the kitchen, into the park bathroom. But above that, that's a little bit different than what's there now. And so we can actually keep up the same rhythm of the D-log and put another material on top of that. We can create more substance there. We can add some, use like a zip board or something like that, have 2 inches of insulation, then put new material on, honor the old, make it look old, but it'll be new. And I guess one thing I would want to ask both staff and you all is the materiality. Are we looking at natural materials which do require some maintenance, or are we looking at for synthetic materials which also require maintenance? It's not really true, like AZAC economic materials, they also require maintenance. They require painting, they require every few years you gotta recaulk stuff, and there's no such thing as, in northern Michigan, no such thing as a maintenance-free material. I tend to push natural materials a lot. I think you do a lot more with that. You do a lot more with wood, a lot more with cedar. And if you prepare it right, you prime it correctly, get the proper coats of stain or paint or solid stain on it, it'll last longer than the period of time that you get from maintenance-free materials. And I think if you look at most of the materials, if you look at the life cost analysis of it, you look what you have to do even with synthetic materials, I think you come up further ahead with natural materials, but that's just my personal opinion. But right now, I mean, it could be, these shingles could be anything from a vinyl shingle that are out there that we do have to use, or they could be a cedar shingle, or they could even be a bark shingle. Something that's really rustic and it's got depth to it. And I can bring in samples of some of this stuff, at the next meeting, as guys give me feedback on this. And the goal would be is to, make sure we're close and then put together a palette of exterior materials, so you can sort of see what this all look like together and, do, more artistic renderings. I didn't have time to do it on this one. I have some other stuff going on in my life right now, and eating up a lot of my time. But, so this is basically it. These are the sliding doors. It used to be a garage door, but now this, instead of sliding doors that go in, I think that turned out quite nice. And this is just, you're sort of limited with what you can do with, CAD programs and stuff. So it's a little bit heavy with the shingles and all that kind of stuff, but it's a start.
I, for one, think you have a home run here.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a great job.
Really,
It's a great
really
start.
good.
Yeah, it's
I
great.
like the balance of adding that overhang on the south side. I was just wondering what it was gonna look like to have this appendage off the north side, so I think that's a nice way to kind of balance things.
Well, the goal is to have the roof, well, thank you, but the goal is to have, the flat, low slope roof, be very textural. And be, have some weight to it, visual weight, so these would be like 4-inch by almost 10-inch beams that would be coming out. And we can even bring those inside if we wanted to, but then, this would have to get thicker because this would have to be insulated, so this would get to be about 10 inches thick instead of the 6 inches I'm showing it now. So then that has to be rigid insulation, because we have to meet a certain, energy code requirements. So there's lots of ways to do this yet. I mean, this is just, again, try to trial the balloon, take the temperature and, answer questions.
If staff and the board can choose to chime in, I'd be really interested in seeing the natural material.
I like that too. Okay.
I think if they both have maintenance to them, we have staff, we have volunteers are really interested in that building. Like, I don't think it'll be difficult to maintain. I think it'll really keep the integrity of the building.
Well, and if we can keep, we can even, the D-log is sort of cool. And so it'd be nice to figure out a way to work with that. And then as far as the shingles, I imagine mostly you're familiar with, like the Mighty Bliss cabins up by Goodhart and all that stuff. You see the bark shingles that are on those, that stuff lasts 60 years with no maintenance, none.
And what's the
Zero.
price point on that compared to like cedar?
Well, it's cedar is crazy expensive, Western red cedar. You could use white cedar, it's much more affordable. The bark is, I did my whole house in it. It's expensive, but it's really cool. But I'll bring in price points where I can tell you right top. I think it's about like $20 a square foot or something like that installed. But when you do that, all the trims and everything you use have to be, there's a lot of money that has to go into doing the trim work because you have to have it looks much better if you have the shingles going behind the trims, not butting up to it, but behind it. So you have to flash them out and do all sorts of stuff. It's just more labor. But at the end of the day, you have a really nice looking product. And that's just how I see this building. I see it being a little bit of a jewel. It's not very big. And I've stayed, with the interior, and we're gonna get it all cleaned up and it's gonna really sparkle when it's all done. But it's gonna be a small, petite, community gathering space. And I think the exterior should represent that.
And the interior, the plan keeps all the wood
Yeah.
on the inside,
Absolutely.
crack, the ceiling.
Yeah,
Okay, that's what I
yeah,
thought.
yeah.
I know we talked about
Yeah,
it.
keep that all
Sure.
super
That's
natural
in
in there,
really
but
good shape.
finished correctly.
Yeah.
And brought up to,
Perfect.
spec here.
Yeah.
I don't know about you guys, I think it'd be really nice to redo the walls in there. That's like painted 60s paneling.
Yeah, I think some stuff could be redone in there too. I think it's sort of vintage, but at the same time, keep it fresh.
Yeah.
I think that would be my goal, my recommendation.
Well, I think when Dana sat down and looked at it, you said this looks like it's always been there.
Yeah.
And that to me is really successful. And I think that's what the community would like. It looks like it's always been there like this. A nice update, looks nice and fresh. It's got, but it fits. I think you've done a really good job.
It's a little, thank you. It's a little bit funky, but I think it should be.
Yeah.
Anything that ages, like.
Yeah, the
neat.
windows.
Yeah, look at that.
Yeah, it's got some modern touches, but really kind of hangs on to that charm of the old building.
Yeah, hopefully.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you.
So, so I'll do, so there's consensus that I can bring in some materials and
Yeah.
sort of show, so we can make some final selections and do a more artistic rendering, sort of work it out a little bit more and just sort of, make the final sale, I guess, on that.
Yeah, I think
I think it'd be nice to maybe keep that red color too. I mean,
Yeah, I went back and forth on that. 'Cause I was thinking, black black is, sort of really trendy, but black has been cool for a long time. But black with natural, materials
It'd be
could
pretty.
they could really pop. It could really you could take something that looks old and it just really freshens it up. And then, and everything else would really pop off of that. So-
Once
but
we see it
we're
all
good,
together, we'll be able to.
Yeah, and I
Is
think
it-
we'd have to do some little color studies to make sure that, whether we keep the red or do something else, we have to do some color studies to figure that out. Well, I don't want to do that till we really focus in on the actual materials themselves. Otherwise, it's such a broad. Well, actually, when you start using artificial materials, you're limited with the finishes and colors you can get. Whereas if you were to work with natural materials, if you do want to use solid body stain or something like that, the world's your oyster. And you can do a lot of stuff with it.
I think the board, I think, or would, I think our preference would be natural materials on the building.
Okay.
So as you're headed and making some of those final revisions.
Yeah,
keeping
and I
that in
think
mind, I think
that
it's-
we can really fine tune
Yeah.
that, we'll keep the red or finding the
Sure.
red material, color that complements that. But what do you think about the D-log? Because right now, okay, the exterior of there's like a 1.75 inches core of the wall. And outside of that is that log, that half or a third of a log is called D-log. There's no structure there. It's just these vertical portions and they're lined up with the trusses and all that kind of stuff. Are you guys in love with the existing D-log that's there? It's just a question. I can either keep it or not.
I really like the concept of keeping it how it was and kind of honoring the older, but while updating the materials so that it keeps up better. Personally, I like the way the D-log looks just for the area and with the rest of the building. But if we can somehow keep it but also update it, I think that would be really
So it looks like you've got a little bit of both.
like the
on this,
mix,
Mark.
yeah.
Yeah, I sort of do.
Yeah.
And that's why I have, or, because we can also get new D-log too, or something like that. It depends. Now, would you want to have, so I can play around with that. Thank you for the comment. Do you want me to weigh the fact you get some insulation on this thing? On the walls, existing walls? Is that a issue or not for you all?
I don't know, we're also talking about limited costs, and so all these things sound amazing. I just wanna make sure that we're staying within our grant.
I think you're staying close.
Okay.
Because we kept it small, and I think that, it'll allow you to use more premium materials, which is always the right thing, in my opinion, always the right thing to do.
I feel like it's toasty in there. I don't feel like, it's drafty or
Definitely
anything.
warm, especially when you fill it up.
Yeah.
It's warm.
Okay, so.
Well,
we
and
need to
I said that
emphasize
we don't have to
this,
start electric
because
bills.
we don't have to upgrade
Is this
that.
really-
Yeah, we get a utility bill, but yeah.
Yeah, because anything that, the new areas that we're building have to meet, all current building code requirements, including ADA. But the old building, as long as we're not doing much with it, we don't have to bring that up to those standards. We can't, rebuilding the whole bloody thing. But as long as I don't touch the walls too heavily, then I can just keep them like they are.
Yeah, I'd say at least the direction here would be sort of some minimal lighter touch on perhaps some of the insulation. What makes sense, obviously, I don't want to be, energy inefficient, but at the same time, it's pretty warm in there. And when it's used, in the summer, the doors are all open, the idea would be if you used it, you'd have everything open.
Right.
In the winter, you've already got coats and boots and everything else, because it's a warming hut essentially.
Let's talk about the mechanical system, the HVAC systems, winter use. Is what is in there now working, or are we putting something new in? So I have a mechanical space for something new, and same thing for summer use. Do you want AC, or just gonna open the windows and doors?
Open the windows.
It's gonna,
And I think that it's working. You get some new, registers or what they call them,
baseboard.
baseboards, yeah.
Yeah, I think those work well. Will be.
Okay.
Well, it's a good system. It's a good system for renters too.
Looks like
Yeah,
you're
it is,
showing a metal roof right now, Mark.
Yeah, depending on what the side material will be. My mind's eye, I sort of see, sort of a silver roof with black logs and like a brown, with the lighter, shingles, so it's just really popping but, it can be anything at this point. It's just step one.
And,
We got a lot of decisions. to make.
and we can look at exterior lights on the building too,
Sure,
with the
oh, yeah.
doors and, maybe like some soffit lights would be cool.
Well, I think it'd be good to get some bollards out there to define the patio, I think, to some level, and maybe around the entry as you come around the building. So it's really clear when people come there, they know where they're going,
Yes,
and emphasize, the front of the building, you can come from the side. We have, it wraps around. When you go back to the plan, please. As you come around from the parking lot or from the playground, if there's some kind of exterior lighting comes around the building from the patio, I think that would be nice to help define that a little bit and also give a good sense of, the light will help, with the energy when you have people there, maybe expand the use of it more into the evenings too. It'd be a nice ambiance kind of thing to do. So that's another thing to think about, but yeah, there needs lighting on the exterior. And depending on the building, if we make it really cool and really gem-like form, get some light on the architecture itself. So when people drive up there, we're highlighting certain things of the building that really, make it work.
I think we'd want to kind of minimize lighting, like the whole dark sky thing.
Oh, of course, forget about the dark sky. Yeah.
But
Okay,
lighting
good
down
point.
and that,
Things to think about.
things to think about for sure.
Yeah.
Well,
I love the floor plan, I love the exterior.
for a first stab at this one, Mark, you did great. You
Oh,
really,
thank
really
thank you.
a great starting spot. Any other comments from the board?
So are you comfortable moving forward, we can set up another date to come with material?
Yeah.
At a later time,
Yeah.
and then in the meantime, if the board does think of something, obviously you guys have looked at this for, 30 minutes. Just send them my way and then I can send them to Mark for our next.
I'll put
meeting and
together
talk
a
about it.
palette of materials, just so you get a better sense for it, maybe do some different, like vignettes, if you will, showing the different options, because I feel like I have strong enough direction. I can do that now. Be efficient with my time.
Dick, we didn't hear from you, any thoughts?
Thank you for all you've done,
Yeah.
working with the committee. It's been very pleasant.
Thank you, I've enjoyed it. Keep it going, yeah.
Patty?
All good?
Thanks, Mark.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Thank you.
Love it.
All right, coming back into the agenda and the new business, December's park corner topic. Rachel, you had a piece of objections.
I did? Oh, yeah, I gotta go back, sorry. Forgot where we
I have
were.
a question too.
Yeah.
I don't remember seeing the article about the history of parks in the paper. Are you sure?
It
went
was,
in?
I saw.
It was, you saw it? Okay.
It was.
Oh, I had it to him, I guess I'll think of the paper.
I think I was split this, so I.
So these are just general ideas. If you all have other ideas, I'm totally on board with that. It was just highlighting the flooding and s'mores, and then I know we had talked about the Kiwanis project. We might be to the point where we have enough information to go there, we can wait. I'm comfortable with that too. Like I said, these were just ideas.
And this also could be January. I don't think it has to be.
Yeah.
December. So. And I think we talked about maybe doing just a little quick minute survey on Kiwanis. Like just to get a little input off the bat.
Yeah, I think if we could do it, it doesn't necessarily have to, except for like you said, we're running out of time. If we pushed it to January, we could work on a question that we could put online or have a link or QR code in as part of the story. To get some feedback on Kiwanis, not necessarily on this.
Feedback are we looking for?
Well, that's a good question.
Yeah.
Um,
Can I ask a question?
yeah,
What are we gonna
maybe
do
it'd
with
be more like use stuff, like, give them some options, like, how do you see the Kiwanis building being used, maybe?
Yeah, I'm always a little concerned about asking folks questions that they can't really
You don't like
necessarily
the
have an
answer?
answer. Well, true, yes, but also that sort of the ship is sort of gotten, it's gone far enough out that whatever they say can't, isn't gonna really change a whole lot. So if there's things that they think they can impact.
We don't want them asking for an ice rink, right? Like we kind of talked about that over and over again. But my other concern or thought with the question is if we don't really have an intention, we're going to be serving our community members up and coming with our next master plan. So I don't want to over survey. I'd rather
Sure.
do it in open plan well, unless somebody has an idea that
I don't know that I think we need to necessarily ask a question, but I think that just making sure that the public sees what's going on and they can comment if they want to, but we aren't pushing them to decide on something.
Yeah, I think, so the two things that you have here are pretty well linked together, right? So
combine them.
we can talk about sledding some more and s'mores. The Kiwanis building, which is getting updated, and he was, and maybe an update as to where we're at. On that, you know, like.
It also wouldn't hurt to blow these up and have them at the sledding
Yeah, that'd be great.
event.
I think that.
I did that in the past when we were doing the grant, but yeah, we can blow them up and do a poster board, that way people can.
Yeah.
You know,
Is that something you can do or?
that's something.
Also talked about having things like that where people can like take a sticky note and like
Yeah.
leave comments or whatever, and I think that that could be
Yeah.
a fun thing for kids. Adults can do it at sledding.
I think that's a really good idea. I
Yeah.
think people will like being able to give their input.
Let's give poster board and sticky notes, that's an easy,
Yeah, interactive.
interactive, and we'll get some feedback, I think that's great. So on December's Park Corner, let's highlight sledding and s'mores, give the dates out again, because
And here's where it's gonna
and
be.
here's where it's at. We
Um,
can talk about where we're at on that.
if we're okay, if I don't by chance get them by December, the first week in January, are we all comfortable with that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
As long as it's out before that first.
And were you gonna write it, Rachel, or does somebody want to?
Yeah, I'll have time.
Okay.
I will send it to Maggie to edit though, because she's my editor.
Great thing to do.
Great.
Perfect.
All right, well, moving right on to sledding and s'mores. We had some conversation before this as part of the programming committee. And talked about the dates that we had assigned for sledding and s'mores. We currently have 4 dates, January 10th, the 24th, February 14th, and February 28th. And our recommendation out of the committee was to cancel the Saturday, February 14th, the Valentine's Day one. For a couple of reasons. One, Rachel has an event on the 15th, and she can help us with the other ones, but that one, she's basically got to work all weekend, and we didn't think that was necessarily fair. And the other piece is that there is some real, there is not having a full-time staff member has consequences, and it can't all fall on volunteers to make everything run exactly the way it was. That's not the way it works. So we thought, well, we'll take out the Valentine's Day one. Everybody can, you know, celebrate with their sweethearts, and we'll go with Saturday, January 10th, Saturday, January 24th, and Saturday, February 28th. Does that sound okay with everybody?
Since there's already snow, is there a day that we could do something like during the day once school gets out? Like just before,
In December?
yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, we don't have to, but usually we're debating if we can even hold them because there's no snow and there's
Been the game.
kind of a lot of snow. I mean, it doesn't have to be a big thing, even just like.
Look at that, what, the 20th, that Saturday, or the 19th, they're done.
Let me check. I think our first day breaks the 20th, which is a weekend.
I mean, it could just be like a day thing like we've done on snow days where we open Kiwanis and
Yeah, we've done
And
that.
have
Is the
hot
19th a
chocolate.
half day? Yeah, no.
I don't
It's
think
not,
so.
okay.
Yeah, I think it's a full day. And we should be able to get Key Club volunteers as long as we have information by either this week's meeting or next week's meeting.
Yeah.
Cause people should be chomping at the bit.
The only
to
thing we
get
may
stuff
not
done.
get in time is the fire department, but everything else.
Yeah.
I'll ask the fire department, I just can't guarantee.
Did we say the 20th then?
I don't know what we said.
Saturday?
I mean, it could be anything. It could be like a Monday afternoon since kids don't have school,
So we'll,
just to give people something.
Is there school
to do.
stuff on the weekend, games? or anything?
It depends. I can pull up, do you want me to pull up the athletic calendar right now?
I won't be there during the day. I'll be
I
in the county.
was just saying, we're,
Um,
Rachel, your last day is the 16th, right?
right.
Planning event that will have to be.
Would we do it on a Friday?
We do it in the evening after 4:30 if we wanted to do it on a Friday or on a weekend during the day. I just can't commit to obviously during the day.
Yeah.
On a weekday.
I don't. If you wanna just play with the idea and make the decision by yourself, I think that we trust you.
Yeah, I think so, we'll leave it to you, it's sort of a, if it could be a pop-up, if it seems like it's a great day and.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
feel like we do it.
So and kids just nice to open the building.
That's, I mean, that's.
Yeah, it's easy, yeah,
That's-
sometimes I'm not even up there all the time, I just
Right.
building open with hot cocoa and they have a lovely time.
And if you want volunteers, just let me know by this
Alright.
meeting or next, or even I can send out a text
Okay.
and see if anybody responds.
Pop up flooding. Okay, yeah, and I'll figure that out in the next day or two, so we're all on the same page.
Good idea, Jamie.
Okay, sounds good. Any other discussion on sledding and s'mores? All
Oh,
right,
we do have a sponsor, did you all read that, the
Yeah.
Rocket Toy Company, so thank you.
fun folks at Rock.
Did you say you could still go to Gordon's?
Yeah, so I'll make it important. And do all that and order the stuff we need online.
Are we doing exactly what we've done in years previous? Or are we adding anything or subtracting anything?
But for next, have idea.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe next year we'll have additions to the building, so.
More room?
We should check the lights, all work still.
They do, yeah, they're good, yeah, that was a thing after we're good.
All right, so wrapping up sledding s'mores again, January 10th, the 24th, and February 28th for the official dates, and have some pop up as we get towards the end of the year. With the good snow on the ground. Any other comments on that? All right, moving towards old business. We already did the Kiwanis building renovation. And then we do have the events on city property policy, so Rachel has sent us.
Really quickly,
yeah.
do we need to make a motion to take these designs to planning commission? Are we there yet?
I don't-
We need,
We can
we
wait,
need to take
Yeah, we got
like all of the color palette and all that kind of stuff.
they won't need the color palette, but we'll still want a few more things from Mark, like on
Okay.
engineering, before we go there.
Thank
Good
you.
clarification.
But yeah, thank you for asking.
Rachel, you've sent out a sort of a draft for us to work from. Maybe we can talk a little bit about that and then where you see sort of next steps.
Yeah, so the board can continue as they wish. I'll also be doing the board meetings, so I'll be working through this with you guys for a while longer. So the board can decide to break up it into sections if they want for future meetings. You can look at it as a whole, it's really whatever you prefer. There were some edits, everything in red is an edit, just for clarification. So we went over like low impact events, high impact events. A lot of the changes were on the application itself. You can see through the policy, the 60 days for review. There's some fee changes in here. And then the big change on, oh, that's not in red. Is we talked about the Traverse City application. What we really liked were the questions indicated is this high impact. So I added some of those. Now that can be edited however we wish.
In the application.
Correct. And that's before they even get to the application. They answer those questions. And then if they answer yes to any of those, you're high impact. And then they move on, then they know that's the fee structure that
I
they're
think
looking
that's
at.
awesome.
That's
So,
great.
And then they're also like, I added in, I looked at some other, what else added in here? There are just some notes like city deans, there'll be no additional restrooms, like they can adjust the fee as they see fit. City staff or city council kind of gives like a underlying. And then the event map is on there and then the temporary street closure application. And then there's also more detail about how you'll be invoiced and how that'll work for the fees, however we arrange that, so. Which shouldn't be new to some of the events, because I did start that this year, the invoicing process, this just clarifies it. And then there's a street closure, and this will really go to, for the police department and DPW than parks. I just wanted to show that we did separate it out, so that's clear, and it also then gives a map for them to highlight what they want closed specifically.
I think that's great.
So kind of all inclusive, which is nice.
Yeah.
Um. It's longer, but it's definitely more clear for applicants and for staff. Talks about tense a little more, about staking in, mistake, things like that. Not too far. So the board, we can discuss this however you all wish. If we just want to look at it this time and come back with comments at the next meeting, if we want to break it up. I'm comfortable with whatever. you
So I
choose.
think this is, you've advanced this a lot and really appreciate that. I had just a couple of things that I thought, I'll throw it out there and at least have a little bit of discussion about maybe.
Yeah.
So when we got to the types of events and approval and fees, particularly the free events to the public, that made a lot of sense. I was wondering on the private events on city properties, both low and high impact. We have fees. I really like Caitlin's idea that we did for the wedding of the sort of having a higher fee up front that part was kept for a deposit.
Yeah.
And then returned if they did all the things, particularly for the private event, they did all the
Yeah.
things they were contracted to do, they get portion back. So I think as we think about that, I really like that, what we did for that, I thought it was a great solution. I didn't think it was necessarily high enough for that particular event,
Right.
but we didn't have much choice, and I think that's good, so I think that might be something to think about. The other piece is, I wonder if both of the fees, the 200 and the 500 could be labeled as sort of base fee or
Just so it's clear.
like, because I really do want to encourage staff to not sort of say, okay, well, this is a flat 500. If you get into talking to the private event person and it starts to get a bunch of stuff, I want you to not have your hands to say, come to council, say, well, this is a $1,200
Well, that makes sense too, because it does say in the application that additional services or whatever counselor staff team, so base fee makes sense.
or minimum fee,
Yeah.
whatever it is.
Yeah,
So that
Yeah.
to me seems like it gives them a little bit more clarity.
yeah.
That
Yep.
it may be this.
And then while we're talking about fees, sorry, the tagging on, we spoke about the deposit. I do have on here a $50 application fee, just right off the bat, we don't have to do that. I just put that in there because that was
I think
fairly
that's a good
standard
idea, yeah.
across the board.
I think that. I think that the $50 application fee is great. I don't know that we necessarily need to do it for like. The nonprofits,
Okay.
but the private events is where they're like a one-time thing where somebody's gonna have to work with them, and I think that to pay for the staff time, like most of the things like music in the park. It's something that happens every year. I don't know that we have to charge $50 for that.
So would we want to do, I like that. So do we want to do nonprofits in general, or do we want to say annual nonprofit, just nonprofits in general?
I think not,
Okay.
but I do think you're right on the private events,
Yeah.
on both of those. So we have a minimum fee and an application fee.
Yeah,
And the application fee I have is non-refundable.
Yeah,
That,
because
I think-
basically.
yeah, I think that it takes staff time, and
Yeah.
if we deny it, then the city isn't getting anything out of it. If
Yeah, perfect.
And did we decide that every request is gonna go to city council now?
I think that all requests usually are supposed to go to city council anyway, but it's usually in the consent agenda.
So we do, per our policy, low impact events don't go to council.
Right.
Anything that's high impact, nonprofit or private goes to council. My
So
thought
when do we say that under approvals then, just get a little more specific?
under approvals,
Yeah, low impact. Handled administratively.
on the policy or on the application?
Let's see,
Cause on the policy I already
I
said
think that
it.
approvals,
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm looking at approval process.
Oh, okay. Sorry, we're not looking in the same spot.
Yeah,
Okay,
so under
got it.
approvals, maybe we could put something in there about, low impact. And be reviewed administratively, and will that still go to Parks Board, or sometimes it might, or,
No, usually low impacts. just
okay,
staff
and then
approval.
high impact, will be, reviewed by Parks Board with recommendation to council?
Yeah, because I have low impact events, if you read, have a 30-day minimum to get in, and high impact is 60 days. So that's why I like that we added what Traverse City did, because as soon as they say yes to one of those questions, they go, I have to get this in within 60 days. And then there's no
Oh, that's up
question
above,
on what
yeah.
they
Okay.
need to do, so that works. And also, I feel like kind of like how Jamie feels, like now that the application is so specific, and we know exactly what they're doing, like with their tents and, you know, high impact and low is more clear. That bringing low impacts will be easier for staff to approve and know the difference, and it's just clear around all around.
I'd also like to discuss, we had talked about maybe having a section, maybe it's even, the new section B about goals. Maximize the use of the park, balance public use, with requests for private, or semi-private events. Consider the impact on the park and the workload of parks and DPW. Establish parameters for events, leaving room for case-by-case evaluation. I think it's nice to just have our goals stated instead of.
Rachel, you're gonna
Will you email
continue,
this to me though? Will you email this?
you're gonna continue to run our meetings for the next couple. Can you just do in our next meeting a case study of a hypothetical event? And we can just roll through
Good
it,
idea.
just to see what this looks like and see what any hiccups are, or
I think too, we can even pull some of like the reoccurring
Yeah.
event applications and talk through those, like,
Dave.
I feel like this
Typical or-
year. If we make sure that all of the applications come to parks and we kind of talk through some of them, like Danny had said at one point, like, this isn't a really necessarily a one size fits all thing.
Mhm.
And to be able to talk through at least some of the different events, I think will help us
Great
really,
idea.
Yeah.
like, I don't think this has to go back to council until next December, honestly. Like, let's take the year to actually look at things and
Try it out.
And and
Yeah.
the chamber has turned in all of their events for 2026, so it'll be perfect.
Yeah.
So I've already gone through that with them, and they haven't gone to council. But I can bring them, and then we can act like we're approving them with this process, which should be nice.
I think that's a good idea.
Not to overcomplicate things, but we did talk about, like different tiers of parks, like Marina Park would be in one tier and like Shea Park would be in another tier.
I might have something, I don't know if I added it. so
There's a clause in here that
There is a
high
clause
impact
somewhere.
events are not allowed in these parks from July through September, so that is.
Did we talk though about maybe charging different fees for different tiers? Or
Where
is
did I
this
put
where
that?
like, are we just getting too complicated?
I don't think it's too complicated, but I think that that's part of like, let's break it down a little bit, because I think looking at this as a whole is, things are likely to get missed, whereas if we just break it down, like maybe look at the application and then we look at, or the policy first and then the application, or whatever, however we want to do it. But I do think that it's a lot different if you want Marina Park or even Zorn Park over
So
you could
Riverview.
You could say, like I have here, any event June, September in a downtown park, you could say any private event over 25 people. June through September in a downtown park. Cause like if someone someone comes to you and say, I'm gonna hold my 5-year-old's birthday party with a pop-up tent, Marina Park, and 15 people are gonna be there. Technically, that's a private event, but like, that's not a big deal, you know, so it kinda,
So where would you put that, Rachel, under events, approvals and fees?
yeah, I don't know yet.
I wonder if we will.
Oh, you
Put
could,
it in
yeah,
there.
I think this is a really good start.
You can work in the.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think this is a really, really great start.
I do too.
Okay, cool, so we're going the right direction.
Yeah, I think so.
I wonder if for the tier thing, we have those yes, no questions, if it feels like, if it's yes on all these questions, it's this tier, if it's yes on this many questions, it's this tier, and that's how we do it. Just kind of going by how high
Yeah,
impact
I
it
think-
is.
I think we're not even talking about impact, just talking about which park.
Yeah.
Like Marina Park is probably in a tier all by itself.
Well, so the idea there, I guess, would be if you were at Marina Park, maybe your minimum fee starts at a higher spot,
Yes,
just right off
yeah.
the bat, right? So
Yeah.
different than you would be at,
Yeah, we could put fees are subject to time of year, like we can change all that wording. Charlevoix does a really good job at that, you know,
Yeah.
stating something and then saying,
Yeah.
but we can override this at any time, basically. Like, they do a really good job of that in their policy.
They did take an entire year to analyze how much every event cost the city. And that's how they developed their plan. And so I think that that's where we're at, is like, we just revisit this every couple of months.
yeah,
I like that you worked in, the quadrant idea.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one.
Um. Oh, we had said something about, a question, does this disrupt the normal flow of the park?
I think that's in here already. If
Okay.
you go under. It's somewhere.
It says, under high impact events, are you utilizing over a certain park space? Is that what you're referring to?
It says event effects on normal public use on city. Event affects normal public use on city property. I don't know, it's worded
That's
strangely.
Yeah,
Under approval process. I can word that differently,
Yeah,
but yeah, that kind of.
that's what it is. That's good. And then, naturally, it would come out day of week, time of day, time of the year, we were saying, you know, like blackout dates.
Kyle, do you have any comments on it, or the street closures clear?
I'm good with that.
Then, oh, sorry.
Well, I don't know if you're gonna have public comment, but I just have a question
Sure.
listening that I don't think has been answered. Is the application fee then applied to like the $200 permit fee if it's approved?
I don't think we've discussed that.
No, I don't think, I don't think it
that
was.
discussed. So, or did it so is it $50 to apply, then it's another 200 for the permit?
Yeah.
Okay.
that's at least what we're talking about right
Like, even
now.
if it's not approved, Rachel's time is still.
But mostly
private
for
events.
private events that are not for the community or nonprofits.
Like a wedding.
I get that you would retain it even
Yeah.
if there wasn't approval, but then if there was approval, I
Yeah.
was just seeking if it was part of the investment.
Yeah, we're struggling a little bit because I think we have a sense that we don't charge enough for our private
To
events
cover,
to
right.
cover what we're doing. And so we're trying to find where that happy medium is, but we don't
Yeah.
wanna, we want people to use the parks.
Yeah.
But we do need to understand that there are costs and there's trade-offs and we've got time, staff time and other that we need
We
to
do
cover.
the same
so.
thing for rental of museum
Yeah.
space. So where we, you know, even if we're not part of your meeting, we've set up and we offer coffee and some beverage service, so we have to cover that expense. And then we let you have your 2-hour meeting, but there's still an intrusion of our time.
Yeah, so that's kind of where we're sort of starting.
I think that it kind of stemmed too from the first wedding that we've really had in a long time, and how much staff time it took, like communicating with them, making sure they knew when the meetings were. It was on 2 parks board meetings and 2 council meeting agendas. And so like that was kind of a lot.
So, yeah, usually, every time there's been well, not, I should say every time, but the majority of the time, if there's a wedding request, usually once a year, sometimes 2, I meet with the bride and groom and we go to the park. We have had requests for Marina Park and then I've nudged them somewhere else. So, yeah, so the weddings can be time consuming, so.
I had just
But beautiful.
one other thing about alcohol. Let's see, this is on the application, I think the first page.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
Mhm.
So there, question 7.
Yep.
Do we just care about selling? Wouldn't it also be serving? Important to know if they want to serve it.
I will ask, if you ask this later in the application, bear with me, I think it's. the same
Yeah, and
question,
I
actually, so
think
it'd be
it
good for-
says selling or serving, yeah.
Well, how would be served? Yeah, we can change it to serve. Sell, preserve, or sell,
I would
serve.
say selling or
Yeah. Perfect. I think we should know if either.
Well, and there's only one part that is social. Whatever
If they're
designation.
selling, they'll need a special, and they need,
Then they, well, that would be my concern, is they sell, then you need a liquor. they
Yeah.
need a-
Yeah, they need
Yeah.
their own license.
Yeah,
and
same.
provide it to you.
It'd be a good
Okay.
placeholder to remind them that they have to do that.
Well, it definitely kicks them into the high.
Yeah.
Simply, right.
yeah, there's specific wording I can put on here from other applications about the licensing needed. And insurance needed.
Any other comment on that for
Oh.
now? Oh, sorry.
Sorry, one more, sorry. This has come up at council before, where am I on this thing, sorry? It says, do you have insurance? And we ran into this before, because it doesn't say on the application they need insurance, it says you have, do we
It was
want
in
to
your
reword that?
It was in your checklist.
Yeah, it's down here in the application where it's alcohol. And a lot of the events do, but we have ran into them where they didn't. So do we wanna change it to? You need, like reword that where you need an insurance provider, that's not, in my opinion, that's not very clear. That's asking, do you have it, not saying you need it.
So let's say you have like a 15-kid birthday party, is that person gonna go out and get insurance?
No.
So then you prohibit it from having.
I think we have to word it, yeah, we have to. I mean, if someone has a birthday party at the beach, 15 people, I don't have. them.
Well, somebody just-
Okay, yeah.
But I think
So,
that there is kind of a good point that if it's a high impact event, they
I
probably,
still think we need to reword it somehow,
Should.
where if it's high impact, they need to have it.
yeah.
I think we should work on the wording, and I also
Okay.
think we should add resources for folks, because they
Yeah.
don't know what in the world they're supposed to do, so we
Okay.
should help them.
But that'd be a good place for like the liquor like and all of that, and kind of, cause that section to me is kind of vague if you're a high.
I mean, I
impact.
think that we maybe at this point need to have almost another page that's just like
Yeah.
frequently asked questions.
Yep.
And like,
Sure,
here's where
yeah.
you,
Drop numbers.
yeah, like, here's where you get the more information or,
That works.
But I think overall, this is a really good start.
I think.
Following Jamie's direction, we could spend some time on it, and we should. So any other comments on the? Right.
I think I like Sarah's idea of taking the chamber's applications and talking through them and this policy for a next step.
Any other public comment?
Do we have anybody on Zoom, Rachel?
Before we get to the Parks Director report, I got two things I want to make sure that is at least on the list for us to do. One is, in January, as we start to rank some of our projects and go through that whole process, I remember we talked about sort of creating a matrix where we get kind of a take-home sheet where we could do some of that work.
Yeah, the scoring
The
sheet. you want
scoring
for
sheet,
you?
and I really want to make sure that happens. That we get that, and that we can take it home, and we can not do it as part of, we bring it to the meeting, but not have to do it on the fly.
Okay.
And the other thing is, next year, we are gonna work on the master plan, so those of you who are sticking with us, we're just gonna work on it. And maybe as early in January, as we get new members, as sort of a recap, or sort of a framing of what the master plan is, how it is now, what we've accomplished, where we wanna go, and work.
Do you want me to add it to orientation?
I think that would be great.
Where am I?
All right, now director's report.
Can I ask
Okay,
Kyle a
yes,
question?
Yeah.
So right now, Kyle, where are people allowed to take alcohol out of, restaurants?
Out of restaurants and just in the Marina Park.
Yeah, that's what I think too.
We see like, I'll give you a prime example, Merchants Open House, it was all over. It's like one of those things where it's just, we close our eyes and things happen.
Yeah, I mean,
But
those are
it-
special nights. but-
Yeah, and even Merchants Open House, or excuse me, even Marina Park, it's on our to-do list now that I'm gonna be the next city manager myself. As far as our social district, because our social districts are pretty vague, it was created during COVID, doesn't necessarily meet the criteria for a social district. We've allowed it, and
Yep.
it's the same thing as Merchants Open House, we sort of close our eyes. And as long as there's not a problem, we don't have a problem. If it becomes a problem, the nice thing is, we can always resort back to the law, if we need to.
I agree with you.
We're not looking for problems, and if somebody comes looking for problems, then we'll take what we need to do.
Rachel, Parks Director.
So the capital improvement projects and budget, went to council last night, for the public hearing. Don't really have much to report. Parks really weren't any hot topics. Jamie,
All that really happened that has anything to do with parks is that the boardwalk was officially
Yeah.
moved to 2027. Otherwise, everything
yeah.
seemed fine.
Flew through.
Yeah.
So seemed pretty streamlined. GD's Ice Fest for 2026, February 6th and 7th. My recommendation is we stay involved. I won't be here full time, so I won't make that decision for you, but I am gonna stay on the Ice Fest committee and I'll be around for it. So I'll leave that up to the board. But it'd be nice to get some sort of consensus if we want to remain involved with the hot dogs, things like that, just the DDA plan according. The Parks and Recreation Master Plan, Danny kind of touched on this, is set to expire in 2027. Board should begin and update that process in 2026 with a heavy focus on public input being the first step. So the Zorn Beach restrooms will go to council this month or next. I am trying really hard to get 3 quotes for everything. Right now I'm at 2, which is good, but I'm gonna try and get 3. But that's a pretty solid presentation to make to council and get that project going for spring. And then I have the resin material. I did reach out I kind of surpassed cups and I went to the actual supplier to ask about that permeable, whether the water gets stuck. Again, there's no rush on that. That's gonna take half a day for him to do that project. So we have plenty of time to think that through and what we wanna do. Just keep it concrete or do that resin, but I do have the samples if someone wants to take a look. And then park updates, we're replacing the skate park door. I'm not gonna blame Nate, the lock broke. Broke like 3 times in the past couple of years, so we're just gonna replace the door. It'll make the building more secure. All the other doors were replaced on the building a couple years ago, so makes sense, but the one door we didn't replace. And then, Nate and I were really hard the other day. We emptied I don't know if anyone know, but there's a building next to DPW, it's the old ambulance bay. Nate and I took a bunch of stuff from there to the transfer station. We recycled it, so all the stuff from Kiwanis is now organized up there by event. So anyone can go up there and know exactly what they're grabbing, everything's together and labeled, so that'll make it easier. There's still some work to do left at Kiwanis, but most of it's just sledding stuff that's left. These are sledding dates minus February 14th, and that's all I have.
And I would like to invite everybody to here for a drink to send Rachel up.
All right, any other comments?
Just want to thank Rachel for volunteering to do the part-time thing.
Yeah,
That's
absolutely.
It's a
Yeah.
huge burden off my back. Sure.
Great, thank you.
Thanks, Dan and Scott, for your service.
Thank you.
Oh, applications are due tomorrow.
You need no pressure.
Go ahead.